everyone. How's everyone here in Plano doing today? You good? When I came out here today, I was just in absolute awe of the fact that there are so many women doing kick-ass things in this world. And so I just want to start off by giving you guys a hand of applause because I know every single one of you did something amazing to get here. So give you guys a hand for a second. When we come up here, a lot of times people expect us to talk about the big things that we did in the world, how we kicked ass, how we went out there, how we ended up moving mountains. But what people don't usually talk about is our failures and the fact that it took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get to where we are. When you heard that, that sounded impressive, but what you didn't hear was how my parents had to pay someone to put on rubber gloves and shape my tongue like you learned choreography to say crown and crayon, even though I can't hear the difference and I can speak it to you today, even though I had to learn how to read lips to be able to understand you. I grew up in a place in Dallas, Texas, in Highland Park, mostly all white. I was the one person who was brown. And it was a very difficult time because while I was given a lot of privileges, the money that my parents afforded me, it allowed me to be able to be on machines when I had to be in the children's hospital, sometimes for months at a time, trying to breathe. It allowed me to have things that allowed me to fight with my seizures, my migraines. It would sometimes keep me in the dark for weeks at a time in agony, throwing up nonstop, having to have IVs to keep me alive because you get dehydrated. A lot of these things were possible because my parents could afford to keep me alive. And that was such a struggle. It was a painful thing. And of course, being a kid, sometimes you go, why me? And it's real natural when we go out in our world and we deal with something and it isn't fair because life isn't fair. It's painful. It hurts sometimes. Sometimes you do everything right and something still screws you up. And it's not fun when that happens. But in the process of going through all that, it balanced me out because I started realizing I had to work twice as hard. In fact, I had a friend of mine, I was helping her move from her, into her first apartment. And we had both been to AP English, and I thought I had done fine in that class. But as I'm moving things, I look in her textbooks, and I realized as I went down there were all these other things I didn't think the teacher had talked about. And I thought I'd done great because I would rush in there, be on the front row of the class, make sure I was there taking notes, reading her lips as she wanted. And I didn't realize that somebody still talks to you if they turn their back. Why would anyone talk to you like this? It didn't occur to me. So I thought it was my natural responsibility to go into the library and research about 5 to 10 other books on whatever subject we were studying in class to learn anything that might mysteriously show up on that topic. So in the process, I guess you could say I kind of overeducated myself all the way through school, not even realizing it. And that was the benefit of having to be forced to work hard, because when things didn't come naturally easy, as someone who had the best hearing or somebody who could run real fast without dealing with asthma, it came with a willingness to fight that much harder. And when I realized that things I couldn't take for granted, if I get to see the sun, I'm like, thank you, God, what a beautiful day. The sun's not hurting my head today. If my seizure isn't holding me down, like, what a beautiful day. I can move. I can be free. And you know what? Gratitude is such an exceptional, empowering thing. And as I moved through my life, I found myself in so many incredible synchronicities. And I started realizing, if you look at someone's resume, and it seems like it's really impressive, and you actually dug down deep, you find out that it's not just them, it's them in spirit. Now, fill that in with whatever religion you want to say. If you're Christian, if you're Buddhist, you're Hindu, I don't care. That's up to you. That's your personal quest. But what I've learned is that we collaborate with spirit in remarkable ways. And I'll give you an example. My husband and I, when we were working with the Hopi and Navajo nations, we had brought in 45 spiritual leaders from all around the world. I don't know why anyone paid any attention to 20-something, but I asked them to come down, and they did. And I asked them to come up with things that they all agreed upon, 10 essential truths, I called it. And in the process, we met people from Western, Eastern, New Age, Indigenous, and we had met with the Hopi and Navajo. And so we were doing what happens when you're doing a documentary. My husband was directing it, Joshua. And one day, around 3 a.m. in the morning, here comes my producer, who happened to be Navajo. And it just happened that the phone rang, and he picks up the phone, my phone rings, I pick up the phone, and we both hear from the chief of the Navajo Nation, the chief of the Hopi Nation, and they say, guess what? This woman and these two men came by today, and they said they have to slurry the coal in such a way that it's going to contaminate the water. And they really like us better. So they said, if we sign a dotted line, they'll save our water, the only poison they have to try. Here we're hearing it from both sides. Immediately, don't sign anything. And we tell them, will you get together? No, we hate them. We've been at war for 300 years. I went out, I got John Perkins' novel, Confessions of an Economic Hitman, and I sent it out to them. I said, look, let me just tell me as many people that are decision makers in your tribes, and I will send it to you. And if you don't agree to meet within the end of the week, we'll leave you alone. They called in 3 days. They're willing to sit down for the first time in 300 years. We got them together, we pulled them into a room, and it was so toxic. There was teenagers being stupid teenagers. Some Hopi teenagers had beat up some elderly Navajo. Someone on the Navajo had done something to some Hopi. So they walked in the room all ready to, and we thought we were being such good hosts. We had the tea, just like you have in the lobby. We had some cheese. And one of the Navajo picked up this carbonated water. She drinks it and splats it all over me and goes, you're trying to poison me. I said, no, that's just carbonated water. But that was the kind of toxicity we walked in. And through the programs, through the times of pulling people together, we intentionally put them in places where they had Thai food, where they had Japanese food. We made sure they were crazy situations. And we wouldn't tell them where to sit. We sat ourselves in such a way they would have to sit next to each other. And the only person they could laugh with each other about how ridiculous it was trying to figure out how to eat with sticks was someone from the other tribe. By the end of the week, they were laughing at so many funny absurdities. We had one day, the chief, Lilo Mastoya of the Hopi tribe, didn't come into the meeting. But where is he? A Hopi went to see him, didn't come back. Next Hopi went to see him, didn't come back. A Navajo went, didn't come back. Finally, we're like, all the Indians are gone. Where are they? We go over to his room, and they were loving the fact the shower was coming down in such a way that it sounded like tropical rain. They were each taking a chance at it. These humorous things brought them together. And then I had to do something that was heartbreaking. I went in and I said, okay, I'm going to put on the hat of being the evil corporate stuff, because I grew up in a corporate family, thankfully one with ethics, but they taught me that the world isn't always like that. And they came in and they asked me, think like they do. And I said, okay, right now I could come in here and I could get the copyright on the DNA of the corn that you all rely on and make it illegal for you to grow what you can think of. How can you think of something so evil so fast? I said, unfortunately, really easily. And I came up with 10 other really evil things I could think of. Then I brought out a chessboard and I said, look at the pieces on this thing. You're trying to fight a corporation, which is like one side of it, but you're a single pawn. There's never been a chess game in which an individual pawn won against an entire other side of the chessboard. You have to work together. We ended up negotiating the first treaty in 300 years. I didn't realize, ignorance is bliss, that the first 3 people who had tried to do that had either been shot or run off the road. Fast forward, I'm feeling so proud of myself. I finished my business degree. I discover I have an inheritance. I look in there, and I was invested in Peabody, Sith, and Blackstone, the very companies that were poisoning that water. I had seen babies who I thought were dying of cancer, and they were dying of arsenic poisoning. It helped me understand about real evil in this world. And that also helped me understand my place in it. And that's what I want to talk to all of you about here, because most of you are CEOs, you own your own business, or you are in charge of a nonprofit, or you're a politician. You're a woman who kicks ass, who fought hard to be where you are. But now as women, we have a unique opportunity in this moment in time. And as I say every time I talk to a group of women, if you are a woman with an education and your own money, you have more power than any woman who has ever walked this earth before you. Think about that. Every one of you in this room has more power than your grandmother ever dreamed possible. Not only that, You get on your phone, you have more access to information and data and ability to project your voice out there into the world. When most of the time in history, women have been told to be silent, to be demure. Except my grandmother, she used to say in her Southern accent, "No woman ever served her purpose by being demure, honey. You say what you think." But you know, when we think about the women who have changed lives, they didn't do it by being quiet. They did it by changing the rules. And right now in our society, we have chaos. We have chaos going on in the economy. We have chaos going in what's socially expected of us. But what is exciting about chaos is you get to reinvent the rules. You get to decide what are the challenges that we should be after. You get to decide what are the standards we should be after. Everyone in this room gets to decide what kind of ancestors you want to be. Will you be the women that they tell stories of? Will you be the woman in your family that changed the direction, the trajectory? Will you be the woman that said, "This is enough, I choose to go in that direction instead"? Will you be the woman that said, "I am not defined by my past. I'm not defined by necessarily how I walked into this world, but I choose how to define me, and I choose the limitlessness of possibility"? You have that power more than any woman ever has. Not only are you among those people that have that education, that finance, and that ability to actually see where you are in history, you happen to be living in one of the freest countries in the world. What are you going to do with it? And let me turn that over on its head. Who are you not to embrace it? Who are you not to do everything you possibly can? Who are you not to stand up when a woman in the middle of Nigeria can't do? I mean, I saw a woman carrying buckets of water at 6 a.m. I came back at 6 p.m. I said, "She's been doing that all night." I said, No. That's one trip up the mountain and down. There's no way she could do anything except survive in that state. Right now, all of you have a glass of water on your table. That is the freedom of access to time that many women don't even have in this world. I've walked in places where people live in palapas so small, a family of 6, and they're proud to give you their meal in the Yucatan. I've been in places in Rwanda walking on bones and seeing people say, "I still choose to rebuild a life." So I can tell you, wherever we are, who are we not to reach down to the deepest parts of what we are and redefine what is possible in this world? So as we look at our society today and we choose, how do we vote? How do we build? How do we invest? It's our responsibility to be conscious of that. Because if I buy this, I support slavery. If I buy this, I support a family. If I go and invest over here, I help this company to employ people that can change lives. If I go and invest over there, I end up holding a whole population down. These are the choices we're making. These are choices that in the past, quite frankly, only men had the power to make. But now, all of you in this room have the responsibility to use and uplift. Because it's not enough that as women, we are now in a position of power. It's only enough as we as women are taking upon that mantle of power to empower and uplift others. If we are not doing that, then we're just a blip in history. And 100 years from now, I say, what an opportunity they missed. But right now, if you are a woman who has built the life that you must have done to be in this room, then you are a woman who has the potential to change the world. And that is what I want to challenge you with today. Thank you.